steam nozzles. So everybody know that steam nozzle is a very important part of a vapor power. Up till now, whatever we are discussing about that particular turbine, and we were discussing that isentropic expansion is taking place in the turbine, and that nozzle today we are going to discuss. So if we define the nozzle, so nozzle is defined as passage of
branch in our education sector. As a mechanical engineer, we have to study computer. Okay, so mechanical is directly, if you see here, the mechanical is directly related to the machine. Okay, but if you consider I am a mechanical engineer, you should engineering is connected to the computer. Now how?
You see one by one stage transformation, then coordinate system, and again then in the geometric modeling we will see how to actual geometry will be modeled. Okay, so in that geometry modeling one by one we will see the stage, and last one is analysis phase. Okay, so one by rotation, translation, sharing, mirror, and classing. Okay, so in that rotation we will see how to rotate the image with the system of the coordinate system one by one.
Another number of loads which we are going to study in the mechanics of material. So first one is the tension, then compression, then shear, then torsion, bending, and the buckling. So these are the loads we are applying. If this is the tensile, then how the deformation is taking place. Deformation is taking place. Then this is the concept of shear. Then
Topic number 1, casting processes. In casting processes, we have to see components of the casting system. So first we have to see what is meant by casting system and what are the components of casting system. Third component is a screw base or screw well. Third component is a runner. Next component is a choke. Last part is a riser. So first, what is meant by choke? So the upper portion in that first pouring basin. So we have to pour the molten metal. Molten metal is which complex manufacturing is required. Last part can be produced and white choice metals suitable for the what is the disadvantages porosity. Poor
tube. Okay, first diagram shows the oscillating motion applied to the single tube. Middle diagram is the forces acting on a tube to result of a fluid, and this diagram is shows the twist angle between this fluid flow through the is a fixed the flow area meter. In that variable area flow meter fixed as, and this oscillating angle known as a twist.
बोलो सांगा चालते हां थोडंसं.
So oscillating motion applied to the single tube, forces acting on the tube is the result on the fluid flow. Okay, this oscillating motion create the twist will calculate upon this twist angle. So complete
February 2021. First question is the answer all the following questions. In that first question, match the following pairs. In the first column, column A, and in the second column is the column B. Now see, in the first column, column A is the HDFC, and the second one is the map reduce, the job tracker, then map reduce, then task tracker, then is the map, next one is the name node, then data node. Now see, in a answer all the following questions. First one is the map the following pairs, column A, HDFC in the column. Then the second one is the map reduce programming, then handle.
Lip syncing song.
Calculate Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Given the values of x and y, we have to calculate the Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. So the values of x are 28, 30, 32, 35, 40 and 45. Similarly, we have given the values of y as 27, 24, 26, 28, 29 and 30. So using the values of x and y, we have to calculate Karl Pearson's x square, y square and xy. Calculate the Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. We have given the values of x and y. So the values of x are 28, 30, 32, 35, 40 and 45. And the values of y are 27, 24, 20. Of correlation, we have to calculate first of all x square, y square and xy. So one by one we calculate the square of all the values of x and the square of all the values of y. Then we do the multiplication of x and y, and by putting all the values in formula, we calculate the Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation.
Learn the new subject. So we are going to start our new subject. So in this semester, learning subject we have the teaching scheme and again the examination scheme. So in the teaching scheme we have the so in that lecture we have the 3 hours per week. So that is the one credit is there. And come to this part as the examination scheme. So in that examination scheme we have the EAC we have the 70 marks examination it is there, and again the IAC we have the 30 marks, and again the IC we have the 25 marks. That is
We have seen the concept of data structure. There are two parts, linear data structure and non-linear data structure. We have seen in linear data structure stack, queue, linked list. Then fourth part is array. These are the levels of node, height of node, depth of node, advantages of tree. Then different types of trees such as binary tree, binary search tree, then B plus tree, then different tree traversal which stores information naturally. Most powerful and advanced data structure. So it is a non-linear data structure. This is a tree structure. So in tree structure there are different terminologies.
Database, we have the object is a create database, and we see the database with the help of the shows command, and we want to create the hierarchy. Okay. After that, you want to insert the data in the database. We have the insert into. Okay. And after that, we will create the second table. This table name is the salesman. Okay. These are the field. Okay. And we will insert the data into. We will describe the one by one table. First table is the client, second the project product, third is the salesman. And tables in the database. Okay. If
sensor networks. So here we are talking about the not physical connection regarding the sensor network. So when it comes to the sensor networks, we are
first
so here this is a test system within which we are giving the input, and based on that we are checking the parameters based on the network sensors. And these will return the thermal parameters to the system, and based on that we can check the temperature, etc., and humidity, and also the water contents.
Our work. So let's start with the profile. Once you log in successfully, you have to update my details, then library database. Our product is directly connected to the library system. So whatever the book or how many books are issued on your name, fields are covering here. 50% part, if you see here, will be updated automatically by the office side, where your appointment time, appointment status, your profile will be by default. You cannot be able to change as a user. That part will be maintained by the office staff. The next part which you have to update is my profile, update my details. This one, update my details. For semesters, that updates you have to perform over here. So for example, update the certification. For example, just enter.
What it normally do, it converts the long messages into small packets. Okay. So what happens in the case of a circuit switching? If we are going to apply the circuit switching, what will happen? It will going to select a dedicated path. Dedicated path means what? Because its sender and receiver are going to transmit all the packets. Okay. So this is the circuit switching. But in switching, if a long message is divided into 2 to 3 packets, the order in, for example, if the sender transmits the first about your switching. Okay, so see here there are multiple paths are there. So tick mark if you have to down through this would be destination. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So this protocol is also known as connection oriented protocol. Why it is known as connection oriented? Before start communication between sender and receiver, it first establish the connection. It's just like your telephone. What we normally do? We normally do the what happen? We normally do the termination.
That is simple mail transfer protocol. It is going to transfer from one mail to the another mail, that is from one user to the another user. How it is the mail has been transferred, that is going to see that in this we are going to use the TCP protocol, that is transfer control protocol. This transfer control protocol can be used in the application layer protocol, connectionless oriented protocol. And the port can be to send a particular messages or a mail, that is by using 7 characteristics ASCII format, ASCII. So in this, how we are going to use this simple mail transfer protocol is, we are using the POP protocol. These are the two main difference between the push protocol and the POP protocol, that is can be used for SMTP protocol. How the server has to be received?
Good afternoon friends, yesterday we have discussed related to the embedded systems, its types, okay, and today we will go for the block diagram of embedded system. So today we will go for the basic block diagram of an embedded. Whenever we are trying to get some information with the help of sensors or digital quantity towards the CPU of a processor or controller, and processor will act on that whatever the signals are, pressure, gas measurement sensors, okay, or weighing scales, so they are directly physical quantities like temperature, humidity, pressure, we are able to capture with the help of sensors, that is like for temperature, electrical quantity like millivolts. So for 1 degree Celsius,
subtractor, non-subtractor. In addition to that, already we have studied in the second year the concept like the multiplexer. So what coding we have to use and all that today we are going to see. So next. So we will start with this the particular one of the and which is having the truth table as shown in logic circuit. In that we are going to focus the various that all the circuits which already we have studied in the digital technique subject in second year. So from that subtractor, the multiplexer, the demultiplexer, but by using the new technology, that is the ICT content we are going to use, that is the software we are going to use it. But for that, what type of code and how to write that, we are going to focus over here. So first we will start with the first, that is the. So what is the concept?
As we have discussed DFT in the last lecture, there are most mathematical part we are having, and there are many difficulties are there. To overcome the difficulties in the DFT, we are understanding time FFT algorithm, and with this, using this FFT algorithm, we are reducing the mathematical operations which are used in DFT again, and this is much faster than the DFT process. So basically how we are performing the flow diagram is required, how the stages are required, and how the butterfly diagrams are discussed some. So in this, basically there are two types. One is radix 2 FFT, and the second one is radix 4 FFT.
Continuation of that one, today I am going to start types of supports. So types of supports is an important topic and very helpful for finding the support reactions. So there are different types of supports. One is simple support, second is roller support, third is hinged support, and fourth is fixed support. See, in case of simple supports, just you take the example of a simple room where these walls are supporting the beams. So these walls you can take as simple supports. Here the beam rests simply are taken. So based on these only different types of loads are also there. One is uniformly distributed load, second is concentrated load or point load, and third is uniformly. The load is distributed totally throughout the beam. At every point, at every distance, however the small distance may be, the load is equally distributed. For example, suppose for 6 meters, 30 ton load is distributed. It means that for 1 meter, 30 by 6, 5 load is there. So however small, even half meter can be there, 1/4 meter can be there, the load is equally distributed here. But in case of concentrated load, what happens? The load acts at a single point. Point doesn't mean just like in geometry, it is not going to act at a single point, but comparing to load, the area is very small. Therefore, such loads are called as point loads. So, this chapter is support reactions. First here, we are going to study about different types of loads. That is, types of loads we are going to study. So, different types of loads are, first one is point load. Whereas second is UVL or uniformly varying load. See, as the point load is there, so it is denoted by like this. So it is expressed as geometrically. It doesn't mean that point means it is acting at a single point. See but comparing to this load, this area is very small. Therefore, such loads are called. These loads are called as point loads. Whereas in case of uniformly distributed load, this is generally denoted by like this. This is denoted like this. Suppose for a distance of 6 meters, 30 kilonewton total load is there.
Water treatment plant layout. In this, we are taking raw water from natural resources, that is river and lake. First operation we are performing in conventional water treatment plant, that is screening. In screening, whatever floating particles are there, we are removing that floating particles, and then that water will flow towards coagulation process. Okay. We are adding just coagulant in that particular water. Coagulant means just like alum. Okay. After adding that coagulant, it will goes towards flocculation. Flocculation is nothing but we are just stirring that water, gentle stirring of that water. Okay. After that flocculation, it will goes to sedimentation tank, and in that sedimentation tank, we are just water will flows towards filtration tank. In that filtration tank, two beds are there. One is a fine channel bed and other is gravel bed. So
today we are going to discuss the new topic that is remote sensing, okay, which is used for the image processing and analysis. Next one. The content of the remote sensing are like this. Introduction to remote sensing, which includes the concept of remote sensing, then elements involved in remote sensing, energy sources and electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic spectrum, classification of electromagnetic spectrum, types of remote sensing with respect to the wavelengths, then interaction of EM radiation with the atmosphere, then interactions of EM radiation with the Earth surface, and spectral reflectance curves. Okay. So now we will see that what does it mean exactly as a remote sensing. So remote sensing is nothing but the technology or methodology which is used to collect the information of the objects without being in a contact with them. For example, consider a case of the sea or ocean from which we want to have a knowledge or the information about the icebergs. So here that is situated. So here we are not able to go into the seas or oceans directly. And by capturing those images, we are going to collect that images and we are going to process the data, and from which we will be able to in the position to know that at what point and at what extent those icebergs are existing in that particular remote sensing. As we are knowing that nowadays the technology is going at its fastest rate, we can say, and the remote sensing is one of the tool which we can say which is used for the various aspects for collection of the data. So remote sensing is nothing but the collection of the information of the data of the objects without being in a contact ocean or the sea, and we want to know about the icebergs formed in that ocean or the sea. Now consider that this is an ocean or a sea, we can say, and we are here at the earth, and we want to know about what is exactly therein, or what type of the iceberg, or what extent or what dimension we can say that iceberg is there. So we are not able to go into the depth of the sea, or in the sea we can say, and collect the data. So in such cases, what we used to do, we used to collect the information of those icebergs by taking the photographies. Suppose that we have satellite images of those icebergs or sea, we can say completely, and by collecting the data, this will be the radiations which we are going to pass through our satellites, and from which we are going to collect the information of the sea. Okay. Okay.
Side light.
So first of all, we should see what is the stress. So whenever you take any object, each and every material, each and every object is subjected to any kind of external applied load. So for that external applied load, what is the internal resisting capacity of that particular object or the body? So that is nothing but the stress. So stress is the physical meaning of subjected to external load. The internal resisting capacity of that particular body is called as stress. So in the mathematically, when you are dealing with the stress is the ratio of resisting force divided by the cross-sectional area. Okay, that is the resisting force, and this is the internal resisting force. So when you are dealing about the stress, so this is by the mathematical equation. So this is stress is denoted by letter sigma. So it is a ratio of resistance force divided by the cross-sectional area. So first of all, we will see the mathematical formula. What is the stress is the resisting force divided by area. So when you are dealing with the stress is denoted by, it is sigma, and resisting force is denoted by the P. So divided by the area of the cross sectional is denoted by A. So the resisting force is in cross section is in terms of mm square. So the unit for the stress is, that is Newton per mm square. You can write, or you can write also MPa, or it is in Pascal also. Again,
from this electrical machine design. Basically, two parts are there. In the principle of design, two factors or two laws were there: Faraday's law and the Biot-Savart law. Before that, before starting this Faraday's law, what experiment Faraday performed that he has taken one coil, and to that particular coil he connected one galvanometer here. And what he did, he performed a particular coil, and away particular galvanometer pointer is there. And whenever he moves this particular, what I can say, magnet away from this particular coil, that time whatever this particular experiment, he got to the one of the conclusion, and that conclusion is nothing but this Faraday's first law. So what happens here? Whenever he moves this particular magnet towards the coil, whatever the flux linkage to this particular coil. Start. Today we are going to see the first important point, that is nothing but the principles of design into this particular electrical. We are having basically two laws. Okay, two laws are involved in this particular principles of design. Which are the two laws? First, the very most important, that is nothing but this Faraday's law. Okay, first law, that is nothing involved. First is the Faraday's law, and second is nothing but the Biot-Savart law. So before studying this Faraday's law, we will see what experiment Faraday performed. Okay, Faraday has taken this particular coil, and to this particular coil, he connected this particular galvanometer. Okay, what he did, he kept one of these particular magnet, near to this particular coil, north south pole. Then
what's the speaker?
Dear students, introduction into the AC machines, the topic from the electrical machine 2. So, myself, Professor Anil Tekre, and today we will understand the introduction to the AC machines. So, first of all, we will understand what is meant by the AC machine. So, as the AC suggests, alternating current. So, alternating current means the motor which are utilizing the AC supply, that is nothing but what? AC motor. So, in case of the AC motors, first of all, we have to understand what does it mean by motors. So, motor means the machine which is converting electrical energy to the mechanical energy. Okay, so in case of the AC machines, we have understood that AC power which is utilized by the motor, and its will have the classifications like synchronous motor and induction motor. So, what is the difference? Motor means the motor which is running at a synchronous speed. But what about the induction motor? The induction motor which is based on the mutual induction principle. So here we will understand that whatever the speed of the stator rotating magnetic field and the rotor of a motor, that is the difference. Okay, so that is nothing but what is speed difference between these. Today we will understand a transformer. So what does it mean by transformer? The transformer, it is a static device which is just without changing its frequency. So here one thing we will understand, that is frequency will be the constant. So frequency will not going to change. Okay. So that is the transformer. So what does it mean by transformer? The transformer means what? Transform. Understand the difference between transform and transfer. Okay, so there is again difference. Transferring power is a different point, and the transforming power is again another point. So we will understand the transforming power is nothing but it is called as a transformer. So again these transformers will having a type like a single phase transformer and another one that is three.
Now we will see the block diagram of closed loop control system. So it consists of a reference transducer as an input. So where we are applying command input, then there is an error signal block which when we are implementing it physically, that time this error signal is nothing but your op-amp, where op-amp is used as a comparator. Then the output of this error signal is given to the controller, where controller will take the control action, and the output of the controller is given to the plant or the process that which we want to control. This actual output is fed to the input with the help of a feedback signal, and when we are implementing it physically, that time that feedback signal may be a transducer. For example, suppose we are taking a speed control of the DC motor, and in that case the feedback tachometer measures the actual speed, and that speed is fed to the input. Now the reference speed and the feedback, and this process is continued. So the main part of the closed loop control system is your reference transducer, then controller, then plant, and the feedback signal, and this error signal comparator. So next slide please. So we will see the classification of the control system. In the classification, 16/2 second semester. So last lecture we have seen what are the types of compensators. That is, first is series compensation, parallel compensation, and series and parallel compensation. Now we have seen the types of compensator, that is lead compensator, then lag compensator, and lead lag compensator. So we have seen that one compensator, that is lead compensator, is used to improve the steady state performance. Then the lag compensator is used to improve the error, and this both transient as well as steady state performance is improved with the help of lead and lag compensator. So but before going to that point, we have to we have seen the rules of the root locus. In that, the first rule is to plot the poles and zeros. Then second, we have to see the where actual real axis loci is there. Then how many branches are approaching towards infinity. Then we are calculating the centroid. Then according to angle of a centroid, break.
This is the program, and this program is helping us to understand concept of call by value type of function and how to use in the program. So this is the header files. These are the header files, stdio dotted, and so standard input output header file. This header file will help us to use and scanf and printf conio dotted header file. This is the another header file which will help us. And so this is the declaration of call by value type of function. So show is name of the function, int is the data type, and which will be passing value of integer type of value we are passing from main function. So int a is a local variable, so value of a, and we are passing this show function. So with the help of this printf function, we are displaying value of a on the output screen. So here we understood show function, this is the calling, this is the declaration of user defined function, and call by value type of function which is helping us to pass value from main function to the user defined function. Passing the value of a and from user defined function to the this function. So in this way we can pass the value.
Second point, 1.2, statement of Leibniz theorem without proof. Next point, nth order derivative of the product of two functions by using Leibniz theorem. Formation of higher order differential equation for the given functions. This is our study. Obviously with only statement, that is without proof. 3 mean value theorem, mean value theorem. Yes, this is the syllabus of our first unit. And a Maclaurin series without proof, expansion of standard functions, yes, by using Maclaurin series, and some examples on Maclaurin series by using different methods like differentiation, integration, and method of substitution. Similar to that point. Second point is statement of Taylor series. Yes.
This is our quadrant number 3, and this last quadrant is quadrant number 4. Anti-clockwise direction. And in mathematics, we have learned about the sign convention of 4 quadrants. Point is in first quadrant, that is above HP and in front of VP. This is your first quadrant. Okay. And point is above HP, this is HP, and in front of VP. When your point is in first quadrant, and if observer is standing at the extreme left, front view is going to be observed on the vertical plane, and when observer at the top side, top view is going to be observed on the horizontal plane. Second, our objective is defining the term of the first angle projection. It is related with the orthographic projection. First angle or third angle, this both tip. Because we need to draw each and every three-dimensional object in a two-dimensional fashion on the paper. Because we can circulate that paper among the workers of the factory. Worker will refer that particular drawing, and then they will start its manufacturing. Is something mm above and something mm in front of. So here this plane, we are calling this plane as a
continue. 1 minus x square into yn plus 2. Next term, what will be the next term? Minus. Here, n into. Just I am taking minus 2x. So I am taking that minus earlier. So n into previous derivative of yn plus 2, that is yn plus 1, into next derivative of minus x square, that is minus 2x, but already I have taken that minus here. So it will be simply 2x. 2. And here I am taking that minus 2. Because we have derivative of minus x square, that is minus 2x, but minus I am taking here. This is here only, and we are applying Leibniz theorem for next term. X as it is, nth derivative of y1, that will be y. Consider next term, that is 4y for its nth derivative. Y n plus 2. With our first unit, that is successive differentiation. Now in this chapter, we are going to deal with how to define differentiation. As we have studied in 12th standard, derivative. What is the derivative? Suppose I am taking an example. Suppose we have x raised to 5, denoting it as y1, which is equal to x raised to 5, derivative of this term, that is x, y2. So y2 will be 5 into 4. It is 20. Third derivative, that is y3, which is equal to 16 x square, and again we can differentiate.
Introduction of the mechanics. Okay. Actually, basically, you see whatever the mechanics is there. So it is categorized into the three categories. Okay. First one is the mechanics of the rigid bodies. Then now in detail in our this subject. So detailed study we are going to see of the this third type, that is the mechanics of the rigid bodies. Okay. And in case of this mechanics, two types basically. So there are the two types are there. First one is the dynamics. Okay. So this we are going to study in case of this. Now we will see this. Okay. Which deals with the study of forces and their effects acting on a body at rest condition. Okay. And in case of this it will see basically. So what is the difference between the statics and dynamics? Okay. Both are the types are there of the incident mechanics. In the statics,
In previous lecture, we studied about the formula of water. Water having the formula, there is a one oxygen present, which is a negative atom, which is a strong electronegative atom. Water, the first and most important source is the rainwater. We know that. Also, the second source is the surface water. In surface water, there are rivers, lakes, etc. present. In groundwater, we know that there are wells. Also, the river, lakes contains the surface water. So, we must study. We should know that the water column is the acidic pH. The 7 is called as a neutral pH, and from 8 to 40, it is the basic pH. Okay. So, our water having the pH 7 to 9, which is permissible for the drinking water. So what is the
ते हे मोंड हे जरा ठेव की चला.
Functions of human resource management. But before that, I told you what do you mean by HRM? Human resource management is nothing but to manage the human resource, to manage the manpower planning in any organization. You are budding HR manager, right? When you are going to complete your MBA, then you will join in your organization, and at that time you will become as a HR manager. If you get chance to work as a human resource manager, then you have to manage various functions of HR. So what are the HR functions are there? Basically there are two types of HR functions are there. One is this operative functions and second one is managerial functions. So what do you mean by managerial functions? So managerial functions is nothing but planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, etc. So you supposed to work as a manager over there. Then you need to work as a you do work as a planning of HR, then organizing of HR, then staffing of HR, then directing to the HR, and then controlling over of the HR manager. Operative functions are concerned. There are sub 5 operative functions are there. What are those? One is the procurement, then development. After procurement, development will take place in the organization. Then compensation, then integration, and then maintenance of the employees. So all. So now today we are going to learn various functions of HRM. So in last lecture what we discussed? We discussed about human resource management and what do you mean by human resource management, and for your kind of information I will only just a brief summarize my lecture that human resource management is nothing but to manage the manpower. We are going to discuss functions of human resource management. Functions of human resource management. Basically there are two types of human resource management. How many types? Two types of human resource management. That functions of management. First one operative functions and second one is a managerial functions. So what do you mean by operative functions and what do you mean by operative functions? So now my dear students, friends, what we learned yesterday? We learned yesterday what do you mean by human resource and management. So what do you mean by it? Human resource management is nothing but to manage manpower in the organization as per organization needs and requirement day to day and as per their needs. So now today we are going to learn various functions of human resource management. So basically my dear students, friends, there are two types of functions are there. One is a managerial function and second one is a operative function. So can you tell me what do you mean by managerial function and what do you mean by operative function? Yes? Anybody? No? Now I will tell you. What do you mean by managerial functions? Now you are budding HR manager. When you join any company in anywhere, then you have to manage these two functions. So managerial functions as well as operative functions.
Brand. Okay. Anybody idea about what is mean by brand or the terminology about management? Yes, anybody? Yeah, definitely talking about much about the brand. So brand itself differentiate the characteristics among the same product line. For example, various companies like Tata, they are understanding the product belonging with the help of visual identifications like logos, taglines, or that describes how brand promise or which brand's features inculcating with offering in the market. For that, we know that brand is the concept is widely opened for the global market. There are famous brands in which is known as worldwide. For example,